I still feel the same disappointment. I feel like that I felt post game, and it's just disappointing when you. I mean, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. Good teams, but you just want to go out in those moments and play your best and let the chips fall where they may. But when you go out there, I thought we had a strong defensive performance, and we didn't get it done offensively. I had a really hard time blocking their front, so it's hard to get really anything going in that regard. And then the turnovers were just absolutely killer, and started with the opening kick, and then having 3 picks, and that was it right there. You're not going to go on the road and win a playoff game when you're -4 in the turnover battle. It's not going to happen. So the fact that we were 16-10 in the fourth quarter, I mean, that shows you how well we played on defense to even be in that position. And then, of course, there was a 7.5-minute drive. They kick a field goal and then can't convert on a 4th down, and that's it. So we are extremely disappointed, obviously, but I think you gotta learn from every experience, and there's a lot of lessons along the way, and sometimes those lessons can be tough, but you better be mindful of those and work on the areas that you have to improve upon in order to get over the hump or get past that point.
I know it's more than the quarterback, but specifically on the turnovers. Jordan went 7 straight games without an interception. What changed Sunday in Philly? Did they speed him up, or what do you see change with the picks?
Well, the pick that Slay had, that was a heck of a play. I think just you want to talk about the little details. I mean, we had an opportunity to stack them, and yeah, the ball was a little inside, but we got to make sure that we stack in that situation. So I don't know if you guys saw the slow-mo. I mean, it was a great job by him grabbing his wrist, slingshotting himself, and he made a hell of a catch. The second pick, again, details. I mean, that route's got to be run at 20 yards. We're at 15 yards. That ball should never be in that far. So, I saw what Jordan saw. I mean, there's an open hole in the defense. But when you're not at the right route depth, bad things happen. So, and then the last one, I mean, I don't know what you guys thought. I mean, obviously it was a prayer. I mean, we're throwing one up. You got a bow on a linebacker, and was the ball underthrown? Yes, it was. Did he get contact before the ball was there? Yes, he did. Is what it is.
Going back to that opening kickoff, I know it's water under the bridge, but did you ever actually get an explanation about
No,
that?
I have not even attempted to try to. I don't know. It's not going to change anything. So I think in time, I just need to cool off first, I think.
I know you'd fix it if you had a solution, but the slow starts in some of these quote-unquote big games, do you have a why at least, if not a solution, of why you have a chronic problem?
Yeah, I mean, you got to maximize all your opportunities, and you got to execute. And I can tell you specifically, since it's so fresh, this last game, I mean, we didn't do a great job. There was pressure all day in the pocket, in the passing game, and then there were some runs that were some bad looks that we ran into. So, and then there were other times when we had some running lanes, and we don't win our one-on-one. We don't win a block. So, and that's football. So we just got to collectively, as a group, all of us, myself as much as anybody, we got to be better. I mean, that's all I can tell you.
Do you anticipate any changes with your staff? I know Steno's getting requests. Tom,
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting over the course of the next couple of days. I think we'll learn some things. I have not talked to our staff yet individually. The only one that I know for certain is Tom Clements is going to retire. And man, it's been a cool ride with him for the last 3 years. Just he's incredibly consistent. What a great man, great mind. Obviously, he's had the opportunity to coach some of the best. I mean, when you talk about Favre, Rodgers, and then the development of Jordan Love. I mean, that's pretty cool. And so I know he's meant a lot to this organization and his contributions, and he will definitely be missed. And I can't say enough great things about him and really appreciate him. But he did tell me, you guys, you got to leave him alone. You don't want to talk to nobody.
You would seem to have maybe some house candidates there. Would you go in-house there? Obviously, Sean has played quite well.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Matt, can you help me understand something about your play action game? Because, when you got here, we all learned about how valuable it was and what a great job you guys did of marrying the run looks with the actual runs. And
Sure.
It felt like you guys kind of changed your blocking scheme to accommodate a really, really good running back. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I would say this. I think coaching is, you have a philosophy on what you want to do and a foundation of what you want to do, but you better not be so stubborn that you just, this is what we're going to do if your pieces don't necessarily match. I think that's good coaching, putting your players in the best position possible. It's interesting when I look at statistics because I'm always curious. I see something and, we're not doing play action enough. And then I go to our analytics people and they're like, oh, no, you're one of the highest ranked in terms of percentage in the league. I think we were like third or something like that. And so I never know where these stats are coming from, to be honest with you. And now as far as under center play action, we ran the ball more out of the gun, and the efficiency at which we ran the ball was night and day better out of the shotgun than it was under center. So that's kind of why we did what we did. And then I think football evolves. And I'm not saying that we'll not get back to doing our hard run sell. A lot of this, when I got into the league, was out of two-back. And you're running what we used to call pass 15 week, basically inside zone ISO, where your fullback would go fit up on the play side linebacker, and you try to suck up the defense and throw something behind them. And then with that, you'd have a tight end blocking the defensive end off the edge, and then the halfback has all the secondary players. So that obviously, that's just not what we do anymore. We've kind of gotten out of that world. So do I think there's some things that we absolutely could probably do a little bit more under center? No doubt about it. And that's the fun part of this. And that is what I would say from the moment our season ends till we're going through and into training camp, that's what you're trying to find is just what is the right recipe for success in this league. And, I thought offensively we did a lot of great things. I know we were statistically one of the better offenses. It doesn't feel like that right now because we had some poor performances towards the back half of the season, and that is disappointing. And I think more than anything is we were really good when we got explosive plays, and we weren't very good when we didn't get explosive plays. And I think if there's something from that is if you're not generating those explosive plays, you better be extremely efficient. You better stay ahead of the sticks, convert on third down, be in those third and manageables, or, but it is harder, obviously, to matriculate the ball down the field with 10, 12, 14 play drives. It's just harder that way. But
I think you had this back and forth with Spoon a few weeks ago too about what's play action, what's not. I'm not trying to get into the weeds on that. What I am thinking is
I honestly, I'm genuinely would like to know how people do as a token fake play action, but all your line is in drop back protection. I don't know how or where all the stats come from, but I am curious about it, and that's something that I'm going to take a deep dive into this offseason to see what is considered what.
I'm just trying to understand because I felt like that was part of an equation that led to you scheming guys open? Like when you got here, I mean, I think we all were like, oh my God, guys are open all the time. And that wasn't necessarily what we had been used to before. And then to hear you say after the Minnesota game, we got to win on one-on-ones, that sounded a little bit more like, you know, I didn't see guys as wide open as maybe I felt like I saw in earlier years of the Matt Lafleur offense. Is that, is that flawed?
It all depends. You know, I think, you know, it's interesting when you go back, and I think this is worth looking into as well. Like, teams had different ways that they were going to defend us. Like, obviously, Philly was going to hold a shell for the majority of the game and make you be really efficient offensively and say, you got to block these creatures up front. And we didn't do that well enough. You know, the Vikings had played a bunch more man in that game. So it's interesting, and I do feel like teams did a little bit more of maybe went off profile a little bit. And so we got to look into why was that the case. But yeah, it doesn't feel good when you end like that. That's the best way I can put it. Is just it felt choppy at the end of the year, and I mean the results say the same. So
not sure why what your stats guys say, but you know the next gen stats say that Jordan was blitzed as much as any quarterback in the league, right up there in second or third. So why do you think that is, and how much of that is, do you think, teams thinking he can't play under pressure, or is there a protection scheme they're attacking? Do you agree that he was blitzed?
well, he wasn't the other night because they had like one, and we hit a through route right across the middle of the field to Jaden Reed. So I think everybody is built differently, and I think most defenses in today's game are, if they feel like they can get home with 4, they're going to try to do that and have more in coverage. You know, I think it's so game by game, and our game is really, I mean, it's personnel driven as well at the end of the day. And what do you do well? Do you have the guys that can hold up in coverage if you're sending more rushers? I think there's a lot of levels to that question, to be honest with you. It's a great question, Spoon.
Can I go back to play action one more time?
Sure.
So you can run play action under center or shotgun. And that's
Sure.
obvious. Is one more effective? Is it more difficult to go out of shotgun? Or
I just think it's dependent upon how you're running the football and what is your action from the offensive line. And there's so many different actions nowadays, right? Like, we did more pulling guard actions than we have the previous 5 years. And there's strengths and weaknesses to everything. But to me, it's just, that's why I'm so interested in the play action question in terms of, because I don't necessarily, when we're in what we call our jet protection, which is our 6-man protection, and our line is pass setting, like, I don't really consider that play action. But because we slapped a ball fake on it, I think it gets marked as play action. So, like, that's why it's so intriguing to me, quite frankly, is what is truly considered play action. I think if you ask a defensive guy and they see, you know, a lineman pass setting, like, they don't really view that as play action. Now, there's a run fake that could be associated with that, but that's why I'm so intrigued by the whole thing, to be honest with you, is what is the analytical world truly considering play action?
It's a young man's game, obviously, and when all that youth rises at the same time, like last year, it's a really great thing to have. When it doesn't, you get asked about it. Does this locker room roster need more established veteran experience?
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't think, I mean, that's just a number to me. I just think you obviously, you want as many good players as you can get, and whether that guy is 22 years old or 32 years old, I don't think it really truly matters. I mean, there's always something to say for experience, you know, being in those big moments. And, you know, being in the playoffs with 2 years in a row with that crew, I think there's a lot of experience that comes along with that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we gotta play better in those moments. We can't have the critical turnovers. We need everybody on the details, because I think I said this to our team for sure yesterday, but the details usually is what separates. It separates good from great. And we have got to be on top of our details, everybody doing their individual, whatever they're asked to do. They got to do their 111th at a high level. Otherwise, it's hard to win those games.
When there are so many young guys, how does that work with the player-led leadership in the locker room that you really want?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I think that's our job as coaches, and I've had some of these conversations already with some of our players of like, hey man, I'm gonna push it to get out in front a little bit more. I mean, guys that do things the right way, and I would say the majority of that locker room is, I mean, you guys are around them all the time. They're good people that work hard, and so I feel really confident with the locker room that we have. But I do think there's another step there for certain individuals that are consistent in what they do. And I never want somebody to be somebody that they're not. And people can lead in their own way. It's got to be true to who you are as a person. But I do think there's going to be opportunities for us to kind of nudge them and have them get out in front a little bit more.
Did you see that player leadership that you wanted to see as things kind of went into struggles late in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had a lot of, we had a lot of guys speak up and guys say good things. But again, it's one thing to say it. We got to be about the action. And that's another message I gave to our team is like, the expectation is when you leave today and you come back, when we start our off-season program, that you're going to be better, not only physically better, but mentally better than when you left today. I feel like that is a reasonable expectation for everybody, and I expect that. But there's got to be action behind that. You can't just talk about it. You got to go do it, and you got to put the work in. Bottom line.
You mentioned how well the defense played in this last game. Big picture, what did you feel you accomplished in this first year, the transition with the new coordinator?
Yeah, I thought there was incredible amount of growth, to be honest with you, in terms of maybe a vision of what we wanted to do and where we went to were kind of two different things. But I think that's good coaching, right? Is you make the necessary adjustments and you put your guys in position, and then ultimately those guys got to go out there and execute. And I thought Halfley did an outstanding job, and it's not just half, it's our entire defensive staff did a really good job with that.
Defense, you guys obviously made huge strides on that side of the ball. You talk about what Philly did with their four-man rush the other day. Is that kind of the next evolution for you guys? And how do you get there with a pass rush that, is not just blitz, blitz, blitz?
Yeah, we got to put in the work, I think, and just when you get those opportunities, going back to the whole one-on-one, somebody's going to get a one-on-one the majority of the time. If teams are dropping back, especially in those known passing situations. On first and second down, you can max it